All right, today's topic is exponents. So we've been working with exponents for a while. I mean, you guys know the basics. But we're going to cover the basics a little bit here, and then we'll get into a little bit more different ideas, different things of how to solve exponents and how to figure them out. Okay. So just a basic review. Remember, exponents are number. If I give you a base number and another number up here, remember this here is your exponent. And this is your base. Okay, so that's the main thing to remember. Your tiny little number in the corner, that's your exponent. Okay, now what that means, what the exponent means is basically how many times you're going to multiply the base by itself. Okay, so for this specific example, right, 2 to the second power, it means you multiply 2 by itself 2 times, and then you just do that and it equals 4. Okay. If I give you this 3 to the third power, then you multiply 3 by itself 3 times. So 3 times 3 times 3. And you do that, it equals 27. 3 times 3 is 9 times 3 is 27. If I give you 2 to the fifth power, then you're multiplying 2 by itself 5 times. So you're not doing 2 times 5. So it does not equal 10. No. Okay? It's 2 to the fifth power. So 2 times 2 times 2 times 2 times 2. Okay? So it's 5. 5 2s. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Multiply that up. 2 times 2 is 4. Times 2 is 8, times 2 is 16, times 2 is 32, okay? So it's a simple process. It's not complicated, just for that part there. Now, if you get to a number where, the exponent's a little high and you don't want to do the math, you can just use the exponent button on the calculator, okay? So if I give you 9 to the 8th power, right? Then that's what that is. Remember, 9 times 9, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, right? So that's all that. Well, instead of doing all that, you can just put it in your calculator, right? So with the calculator, you're gonna use this button right here, okay? On this calculator, you have y to the x, right? So what you do is you put in your base as 9, okay? Then you hit this button here, and then put in your exponent of 8. And then equals, and that's your answer. It's a very long number, okay? So we won't use any numbers that high, but in case you do need to use it, right, that's your exponent button there. So, so if I get rid of this, and I did 5 to the third power, 5 times 5 times 5, you can do 5, that button to the third power, and it equals 125, okay? Okay, so simple review on that. Okay, now, what if you have a 0 for an exponent? Okay, like that. Okay, so very simple. Okay, any number that has a 0 for an exponent is always going to equal 1. Okay. No matter what it is, no matter what number you put here, 1. 1. To the 0 power 1. So any number with a 0 exponent is always 1. Even if you do this. A. Okay. A to the 0 power 1. Okay. Even if it's a letter, if it's the 0 power, it's 1. Okay. And then if you have any number that has a 1 for an exponent, it's always that number. It stays the same, okay? Okay, it's always the same. So 1 is the same. 0, 1, okay? So make sure you write that. Make sure we have this down. Okay, so now your last step. So I'm gonna write this down over here. So if it has a number has a 0 exponent, it equals 1. And if a number has a 1 for an exponent, it equals that number. It equals the same thing, okay? It does not change, okay? So now our last thing to cover are negative exponents, okay? Now, negative exponents are a little different, but they also aren't that difficult. So with negative exponents, for example, let's give you 2 to the negative 2 power, okay? So with this one, you're not multiplying by a negative, okay? Your base is still a positive 2, okay? But its exponent is negative, okay? So in order to get rid of a negative exponent, what you have to do is basically flip it, and put it underneath a 1, and that gets rid of the negative exponent. So for example, this number right here, okay, 2 to the negative second power. So in order to get rid of this negative exponent, I have to put it underneath a 1 as a fraction. So I go ahead and put a 1 and then over, and then bring this whole thing down. But now my negative is gone, okay? So you see a negative exponent, you have to put it on the other side of the fraction bar. And because this here is by itself, we always know this is over a 1, right? So we always know that if a number is by itself, it's always over 1. So if we flipped it, right? If we flipped it, then it would be 1 over 2, right? So it's the same kind of concept, right? We took this here, this is 2 to the negative 2 over 1, technically. So we flip it, flip it, right? And it becomes 1 over 2 to the second, but your negative goes away. Okay? So if we do that, now we can just do what it says. Keep the 1 on top, 1, and then 2 squared is 4. So your answer is 1/4. Okay? So another one, let's do 3, hold on, sorry, 3 to the negative 4th, okay? So once again, put it underneath a 1, and then get rid of your negative, and then go ahead and do 3 to the 4th power. If you want to use a calculator, you can. 3 to the 4th power and equals 81. And remember, it's underneath a 1, okay? So your answer is 1 over 81, okay? Now, what you don't want to do, or don't want to confuse yourself, you can put it in the calculator, but if you do, you're going to get a weird decimal. So if I did this number, right, we just did that. If I did 3 to the negative 4, it's going to give me a really funky decimal, and you really don't want to be working with that, okay? That's why you don't, for this part, don't put the negative in the calculator as an exponent, okay? It's going to give you weird numbers, and you don't want to be working with that. So that's basically how you do that, okay? Now, conversely, let's say it's already underneath 1, and you have 4 to the negative third power, okay? Well, if you have 4 to the negative third power, once again, and it's underneath 1, you flip it, right? You flip it, and because it's on the bottom, now it goes on top. So you flip it, and now it's like that. Remember, it's always over 1, but because it's over 1, we don't need that. We can get rid of that and leave it as 4 to the third power, right? Which is 48, right? 4 to the third power, 64, haha, 64. I'm a math teacher, right? 64, okay. So 64. So that's how we do that, okay? So negative exponents get flipped to the other side of the fraction bar, okay? Let's try a different one. Let's do 3 to the negative second, okay? So 3 to the negative second. There's no 1, so we have to put it underneath a 1, rewrite the same thing, get rid of the negative, and then just solve. 1 stays on top, 3 squared is 9. So 1 over 9, okay? Let's try this one. 1 over negative 3 negative 3 to the negative fourth power. Okay, so in this part here, once again, your exponent's negative is a 1 on top, so I have to flip it, and this negative 3 goes on top, your exponent goes away, and now it's this negative 3 to the fourth power. Remember, negative 3 to the fourth power would be a positive 81. And let's check our answer. Sorry, 3 to the fourth power gives us 81, right? Okay, so that's how we do these ones, okay? So negative gets flipped other side, okay? And that's how we do these ones.